Hey there, hope you had a good weekend. I am Bernie Miklasz, and welcome to the Bernie Show. Brand new week for you here on STL Sports Central, where you can find all my columns and videos, plus my weekly visit with my good friend Randy Carricker on his show. You can also hear me frequently throughout the week on KMOX FM and AM, all the sports shows, plus the Dave Glover Show a couple times a week. Today's topic: bad week for the Cardinals. So, is the magic running out of their season? Starting to run out, I should say. Or phrase that better. Is the magic starting to run out on their 2026 season? After a really positive start to the campaign that had the Cardinals 5 games over 500 a week ago today, as I record this on Monday, they swept Houston. They went to 13-8, 5 over. They've kind of fallen from the sky since then, flapping those wings as hard as they can, but they kind of dropped from the sky. After peaking, the Cardinals had a bad week peaking in Houston. The Cardinals had a bad week losing 5 out of 6 games to the Marlins and the Mariners. They had a down weekend, unfortunately, before good crowds at Busch Stadium. Nice environment. They lost 3 in a row to Seattle, really despite having an excellent chance to win all 3 games, and certainly should have won at least one of those games. And I would say, 2. It was right there for them. So the Cardinals lost their mojo. Now, the eternal optimist can say, well, it was just one bad week. Don't overreact. I agree. Here's where I differ. I don't think this is a case of overreacting if you're going to point out that it was a bad week, but also the stuff that went into the bad week are of a legitimate concern because they've been there all along. If that makes sense, if you understand what I'm saying. All of the factors that took the Cardinals down in those series, the first time this year the Cardinals have lost back-to-back series, but the things that took them down were predictable. It was basically a matter of time because, again, these factors, these flaws have been there all along. It's just that the Cardinals were doing a really good job of overcoming them, and getting some luck to fall their way. That also helps. That's true of every team. All right, let's review 5 seasons why the Cardinals were derailed. 1, the St. Louis luck ran out. Just mentioned that. The luck ran out. Cardinals began losing close games instead of winning them. After going 5-0 in their first 5 games decided by a run this season, the Cardinals lost 2 one-run decisions to the Mariners. After going 10-1 in their first 11 games settled by a margin of 2 runs or less, the Cardinals lost 3 out of 4 games decided by 2 runs this past week, including 3 straight close call losses to the Mariners. That's kind of the way it's always been in Major League Baseball. When your team is relying on so many wins by having to prevail in tight, close, tense, living on the edge games, it's a hard way to. It's a difficult challenge to keep doing that over and over and over again, because over time things will at least level out somewhat. So in this instance, a sudden reversal of fortune, if we're being realistic, was hardly unexpected. Number 2, the St. Louis bullpen has been a substantial problem all season, but until this past week, the Cardinals largely got away with it. They somehow managed to avoid the consequences of having such a bad bullpen. Before the last 2 series, this shaky and undependable bullpen had cost the Cardinals only 1 game because of a blown save before they went to Miami and then when they came home. Before that, only 1 blown save had caused them to lose a game. They were able to overcome that to pull out other games when there was a blown save. It was unrealistic to expect the Cardinals to keep surviving these late inning meltdowns without paying a price. And sure enough, it did turn much, much worse for the Redbirds. Whether you call it luck or you just call it the odds, I don't know, but it turned worse against them. In the series against the Marlins and Mariners, the Cardinals frittered away 3 potential wins that turned into 3 demoralizing losses because they squandered late leads on blown saves. And then they had another game, a fourth game that they lost after being tied 2-2 in the 6th. So when you're living by 1-run games and you're winning by 1-run games, chances are pretty good you're going to start, when you're playing so many of them, chances are you're going to start losing some of them. And that's kind of what's happened, 1 and 2-run outcomes. Number 3, after a decent, if unconvincing, mini stretch from the starting pitching, Cardinal starters could not duck and cover in losing 5 out of 6 this past week to the Marlins and the Mariners. In the 6 games, the Cardinal starting pitchers had a 5.28 ERA. Opposing hitters batted .295 against them, had a .500 slugging percentage. Yikes. That's not good, to say the least. Now, during the losing streak that stretched to 4 games over the lost weekend, they lost the final game in Miami, then 3 to the Marlins, or to the Mariners, pardon me. The Cardinals received a very strong start from Michael McGreevy, but the other 3 guys during this 4-game losing streak, the other 4 guys who started games during that streak, Kyle Leahy, Andre Pallante, and Matthew Liberatore, were smashed for 12 earned runs in 13 2/3 innings for a 7.90 ERA. I mean, Pallante pitched fine. For example, and you got to pardon me for being such a cynical SOB, when I'm reading stuff about something, because he struck out 8 hitters. I thought that maybe some people in the media were talking about Chris Carpenter or something instead of Andre Pallante. But hey, whatever. I'm guilty of doing that kind of banana stuff too. Anyway, Liberatore was absolutely horrendous. That was the thing I think it frustrated me about this entire week the most, right? Liberatore's performance Saturday, an 11-9 loss, where he had all the run support given to him and then some that he needed. But he was just flat out awful. He lasted only 3.5 innings. He got bombed for 3 homers and 5 earned runs. His terrible performance caused the Cardinals to have to burn through their bullpen, which also affected the Sunday game. So it's not that just his pitching was bad, but he turned the whole pitching situation bad, especially with the bullpen. And he's the number one reason why the Cardinals lost that game Saturday, despite ripping into the Mariners for 5 home runs. I mean, come on. Listen, I'm going to probably write something about this, and it's no hyperbole because you know me, I research everything. I research things I don't even have to research. But anyway, amongst innings qualified starting pitchers this season, Liberatore statistically is one of the very worst starters in the majors this season. And that's, by designation, that's their number one starter. I kind of rest my case on that one, right? Number 4, the Cardinals are failing miserably in the critical area of timely hitting. In losing 5 out of 6 games this past week, St. Louis hitters batted .179 with runners in scoring position and struck out 27% of the time. Ugh. Except for Saturday's game when the Cardinals scored 9 runs, and I think they were 3 for 9 with a homer with runners in scoring position. So it was one good game they had. But other than that, in the other, see, I'm getting my math all wrong now. In the other 5 games, their hitters went 4 for 35 with runners in scoring position. That's a .114 batting average. This has been a problem all year long. Number 5, Jordan Walker has cooled down. You noticed. He's gone 10 consecutive games now without hitting a home run during the stretch. That stretch, which included the team's 1-5 record against the Marlins and Mariners, although Walker did not play in the final game of the Marlins series. But anyway, but in the 10 games since he last hit a home run, he has batted .205 with 1 run batted in, and he's got a 38% strikeout rate. I was seeing some signs Sunday, especially, that he's seen the ball better. I think he'll break out of this, but pointing out, he was really a force offensively until he wasn't, right? And then there's some other guys too, like Alec Burleson looks really tired or gassed or something. But anyway, When I return for my second and final segment, I'll explain why the Cardinals' serious problems are for real, or at least should not be dismissed, because these problems are not random and they aren't a fluke, and their flaws have been there, as I mentioned, all along, been there all along, maybe hiding in plain sight to some extent, but the Marlins and the Mariners really exposed them. For now, though, it is Blue Chew pep talk time, rally time with Blue Chew, gentlemen. If you're slumping in the sack, feeling frustrated and down, then Blue Chew can get you back up, get you going. And when I say get you back up, I ain't talking about just your mood, okay? If you catch my drift. To use a baseball term, with Blue Chew's help, your soft contact will be transformed into hard contact. If your bat doesn't feel right, then what do? Hitter doesn't like his bat, hitter goes, gets some stronger wood, better wood, right? Do what the pros do. The future of erectile function is here. The wonder of Blue Chew Gold is changing the way millions of men are maximizing those intimate special times with their partner. No need for you to not do that. Go for some help. Blue Chew's new arousal boosting formula combines passion and performance into one tablet, dissolves under your tongue for a super fast onset. It's got 4 major ingredients. 2 of them are on blood flow, and Blue Chew Gold adds more. 2 other ingredients that give you a mental boost, a confidence boost. You just feel better up here between the ears. That means you'll be physically and mentally ready for success. And that's why Blue Chew Gold is the #1 brand in erectile function. Process is easy. Go online, get started today at bluechew.com. Special deal for our listeners, viewers. When you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the 3rd month free with the promo code Bernie, BERNIE. That's promo code Bernie. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety info. We thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the Bernie Show, but also for providing such valuable help to the gentlemen who watch or listen to the show. All right, now welcome back to second segment of the day, last segment of the day. Despite the rough week, the Cardinals remain a game above 500, 14-13. They're tied with the Brewers for 4th place in the NL Central, which is a strong division this year. The Cardinals' .516 winning percentage is tied for 8th in the National League, tied for 11th overall. So the Cardinals have fallen, but it doesn't mean the entire sky is falling. All things considered, it could be a lot worse. But I am a realist, and I don't do bandwagon, so I'm going to reiterate what I have said so many times before. There are some games that are frustrating, of course, because you can say that about every team and every season. But I like watching the Cardinals play baseball, even when they're going poorly, even when they're struggling. They're still entertaining and interesting, because you never know, what they might do next, good or bad. They're a team of kind of extremes. Those teams tend to be entertaining. But here's the thing. Here's where I come from. All right. I've never lost touch about what this season is supposed to be all about. And it's not a season where the Cardinals front office set it up to go all out. We're going to go all out from our roster. We're going to add players. We're going to do this. We're going to sign this guy. We're just going to, put some more talent on this team and do, even if it means sacrificing a little bit of the future. We're going to be willing to do that. At what point did Chaim Bloom convey that was their plan? Of course, the answer, he never has and never will. Not this year. So this wasn't about going all out to win as many as possible in 2026. So the people that, I don't know how many there are, but the people who may be ticked off at the Cardinals after this rough week probably were starting to talk themselves into believing the Cardinals could be a postseason contender. And if you look at what is happening exactly with the team in terms of when they go poorly, being a postseason contender, frankly, is not a realistic possibility. It still isn't. I mean, do you close the door on everything? Well, I mean, history tells us you maybe leave it open a little bit, but let's be realistic here. When you can't prevent the other side from scoring, it kind of almost nullifies you from making the playoffs. And this situation could, and I'm going to get back to that in a moment here. This situation, of course, could get even worse than it is right now, coming off the bad week. Next 5 series, and I added the 5th series to that. at Pittsburgh, home against the Dodgers and Brewers, on the road at San Diego, and then Sacramento. That's a formidable challenge because, first of all, the A's are a good team, so we got to put them on that list. Cardinals leave San Diego, have a day off, and then play in Sacramento, which is a ballpark where basically pitchers get destroyed in terms of offense, in terms of the park factor in Sacramento. It's really kind of ridiculous. It's like there's like on average there's 30% more runs or scored in that ballpark last year and this year based on the league average, about 30% above average in terms of runs scored. Ain't going to be no picnic in Sacramento. So anyway, as I mentioned earlier in the video, the factors that took the Cardinals to the ground last week are nothing unusual, nothing shocking, nothing surprising, nothing where it's like, boy, I didn't see that coming. Actually, I think we all, deep down inside, or maybe even on the surface, I think we saw a lot of it coming. We knew there'd be challenges with the pitching, both in the rotation and the bullpen, and candidly, and I never, ever hesitate to admit I'm wrong about something. I did overestimate both areas. I thought we'd see better work from the staff. I didn't think it'd be a great pitching staff, but I thought the rotation had better depth than it did. I thought a couple guys in that rotation, like Libator, would pitch better than they have. I thought the bullpen was going to be fine, mostly because I was a big believer in Matt Swanson, and I still am. But he just got off to a horrendous start, and the Cardinals are missing. In my opinion, they need another left-hander down there. Listening to Rick Horton over the weekend on KMOX, all the games, and Rick said that like several times. He said they really need a third lefty down there because, listen, JoJo Romero's going to just like run out of fuel, man. And Justin Brule's had his moments, but come on. So the bullpen's really thin. They're working it. Some guys are getting better, but the problem is you're getting a bullpen that's starting to get tuckered out, even your best guys, because the starters don't give you enough innings. Anyway, it was silly in retrospect for me to think a little higher of the St. Louis pitching staff than I should have, because they have the worst strikeout rate in the majors, starters and relievers combined. The worst strikeout rate in the majors, the second poorest swing and miss rate. The staff ERA of 4.87 is 27th. The expected ERA based on underlying factors is 5.222. Let me just go with 2.2s. 5.22, sorry, which ranks 29th. The Cardinals are giving up 5.19 runs per game, which puts them near the bottom in the majors. And the history tells us sustained success is virtually impossible for a team that's given up that many runs. Yeah, the Cardinals have played in only 27 games. They played only 27 games so far. But please tell me or convince yourself how a transformation is going to occur with the current group in place. You know, it's a group that has very limited pitching depth in their system. Major league ready pitching depth. The Cardinals have more than a few exciting young arms in development. There's going to be some really good pitching talent up here at some point, but they're not ready. They're developing. They're not a phone call away from being promoted to the big club. And some of the guys they were maybe counting on for that, like Quinn Matthews, have taken yet another step back. For historical perspective, please consider this. If the 2026 Cardinals were to make the postseason with an average of 5.19 runs allowed per game, they would be the first Cardinals team in the expansion era to do that. Never been done before by a Cardinals team during expansion era, and I could have gone back and probably gone way, way back beyond that. And based on my research, they would be the first non-Colorado-based team in MLB history to make the playoffs with such poor run prevention as the Cardinals have showed early in the season. To survive and overcome pitching that is so hittable and so vulnerable, the St. Louis hitters would have to turn in an extraordinary offensive performance. I'm not talking about, a game here, a game there. I'm talking about consistently. in slugging and homers and on base percentage and batting with men in scoring position and so much more. It would take, frankly, it would take one of the best offensive teams and offensive seasons in Cardinals history to do that. And do you honestly believe that the 2026 Cardinals, their offense is capable of delivering a historically prominent level of generating runs? I don't. It's been awesome. Yeah, there's been some really good things going on. It's been really awesome to watch Nathan Church emerge at the plate. Ivan Herrera, his power is catching up to his immense ability to get on base. JJ Weatherholt is a joy to watch. Mason Wynn has heated up. I'm not ready to dismiss Jordan Walker as some type of 2-week wonder. He went on that power trip blast off of his. I think Walker will bounce back. I think Burleson will bounce back, even though he has absolutely flattened out. The Cardinals have some other attributes offensively, including the talent to get on base at a solid level, but the walk rate and the on-base percentage have been dropping, and the slugging component of their game is inconsistent. And while they do play an aggressive and generally effective brand of small ball, which I've praised, that can only take you so far. What do I mean by that? Well, here you go. Through Sunday, the Cardinals had scored 3 runs or fewer in 44.4% of their games. And when they haven't scored more than 3 runs in a game this season, their record is 3-9. Listen, I will continue to enjoy watching Cardinals baseball because this is such an important time, an important year for the franchise. What happens in 2026 is high stakes stuff because it's going to shape the front office thinking on a lot of their pitchers and hitters and what happens beyond 2026. So the stakes are high. Even if the team doesn't make the playoffs, which I don't think it will, the stakes are still very much high. So here's my advice to Cardinals fans. I say this in a friendly way. I also wink a little bit. Readjust your expectations. Reconnect to reality a little bit. And when in doubt, just take a couple of headache meds, whatever your choice is. Do that. And then, of course, always, you got to blame everything on the manager. You'll feel a lot better, so do it. You have my approval. Thanks, as always, for watching. Thanks for your support. Thanks for putting up with me. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel from the STL Sports Central YouTube channel, which you're watching now. Just hit that subscribe button. Also hit the like button under the videos. That stuff helps us out a lot. We appreciate you very much. Have a good rest of your Monday. And if you're in the St. Louis area, man, geez, I hope we're going to be okay. Stormy weather. Take care.